Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk, and I want to jump on this idea, this thread that our buddy Kostis in Thessaloniki, Greece, has. His channel is called Lego Paidi, and he came up with a recent video called Improbable and Weird Cover Versions. So I'm going to show, I think I've got 6 of them that I'm going to do. So the first one is going to be Sunshine Superman, which was originally by Donovan back in 1966, a folk rock song. And so the cover version I want to talk about is by Husker Du. So it was on the Everything Falls Apart record. You can see I have the Everything Falls Apart and More compilation CD that has some other earlier material on it. So, of course, it is track number 6 on here, and it's early Husker Du, so it's pretty fast, it's pretty hardcore. I found a video on YouTube, I'll link it up, from a show of theirs in 1983 in Philadelphia with just a mad, crazy pit. Grant Hart drumming like a machine and singing Sunshine Superman. So Grant was singing this song, Bob playing the flying V guitar really fast, and Greg Norton rocking the handlebar mustache and the bass guitar. What else do we have? Well, there was Interstellar Overdrive, which was an instrumental by Pink Floyd during the Psyche Syd Barrett era. It was from 1967. It was on their debut album, The Pipers at the Gates of Dawn. An instrumental that was almost 10 minutes. So who would be really improbable to cover it? Well, a young 80s hardcore band from Denver called Frantics. And so this is sort of their career compilation that came out on Alternative Tentacles in 2014. It's called My Dad's a Fucking Alcoholic. That was probably their most notable song. So as you can see, they're on Alternative Tentacles. And apparently they did a cover of it. I mean, they didn't do the full 10 minutes, but they did play their guitars for 6 minutes. Even though these guys were punkers, you could also tell that they loved their hard rock and their early heavy metal. A couple of members of this band went on to be in sort of the grunge band, The Fluid. They were on Sub Pop. They were on major label for a while. Their main guy, Rick Kulwicki, did pass away back in 2011. But of course, the crazy thing, I don't know how well you'll be able to notice this, but you can see most of those tracks are very close together. Then there's the one big wide track. So the middle of side 2 is, of course, Interstellar Overdrive. Much longer than any of the other songs on there. Well, let's do some country. So in 1975, Waylon Jennings wrote a song called Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way? I know Hank Williams Jr. did a cover of it at some point in the 80s, but the one I'm going to do is I've got a 7-inch just released last year, 2022, by sort of the Charlotte sleazy southern rock punk band Anti-Scene. And so on this cool green vinyl, this little 7-inch, they did Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way as well. So a pretty sleazy rockin' version of that song. What about Kiss? So in 1976 on the Destroyer album, they of course had their song Detroit Rock City. I'm sure lots of people have covered it. I'm sure just about every group of dudes around my age who ever got together in a garage or a basement to pretend they were a rock band probably tried to play it. So Bullet La Volta covered it on their 1990 EP, Gimme Danger. And so there it is. It's track number 3, recorded live, I think, at a gig in Boston in February of 1990. So Bullet La Volta was kind of a cross between a punk and a metal band that was active in late 80s, early 1990s, part of that Boston alternative scene. They hung around with like the Lemonheads. And what about covering Kraftwerk songs? So the model, Das Model an die Menschmaschine, the Man Machine, 1978 Kraftwerk. Well, look at this. This is my second album with the word fucking in it in this video. Big Black, songs about fucking. So Steve Albini and the boys covered The Model, song number 2, their 1987 album. And then the last one I'm going to show, so we're going to go back to Boston. We're going to go back to that Boston alternative scene, college rock scene. And so the Grassroots, they were just AM gold in the late 60s, early 70s. One of their famous songs was called Temptation Eyes. Well, the Blake Babies on their 1991 EP called Rosie Jack World covered Temptation Eyes. They even have a super crazy video about it where you can see like Juliana playing Mumbledy Peg with a knife, John Strom and Evan Dandu do a bro bump, and it's a really weird video. I think it got minor play on MTV, and I think I'll have to link it up as well. I love that translucent red vinyl, and this isn't a reissue because I don't think this has ever been reissued. OG from back in the day. So there you go. 6 different improbable and weird cover versions for you, Kostis.